My name is Claire, co-founder of Finding Self, and today we're going to talk about chronic anxiety. So I know a lot of you suffer from chronic anxiety, and it can be a bit confusing because it's more complex than we originally think. So first, I just want to start out by saying the emotional intelligence purpose of anxiety. So the emotionally intelligent explanation of why we have anxiety. Its purpose is to motivate us and to fuel us to take care of the actions that we need to take care of in our life. So it helps us to be productive and to make sure that we're taking care of everything that we need to take care of. For instance, healthy anxiety appears when you have an exam coming up or a deadline coming up for work and you start to feel anxious because it hasn't completed yet and you know that you have to complete it. So it's going to motivate you, activate you into your sympathetic nervous system, and get you moving to be able to get that thing done. But chronic anxiety is a different story. Chronic anxiety is something that many people suffer from in today's society. Unfortunately, we don't fully understand it, and we don't really give it the time to understand it or the time that it needs to heal. So we learn really well how to be productive and to run around and get things done, but we don't really learn how to anchor back into peace and calmness and safety, which is really the cure for anxiety, chronic anxiety specifically. So this breaks down into two different things. First, we want to look at the development of chronic anxiety. So chronic anxiety appears when there is an activation in our nervous system that doesn't get completed. So this means that maybe there's a trauma that occurs, whether it's a developmental trauma or a shock trauma. And also chronic stress just occurs because of our daily grind. Our society is designed to keep going. We go from, 18 years of school to another 4 years of school to maybe even another 4 years of school and then right into a job. So we are constantly trying to keep up with all of these deadlines, all of this stress, not to mention all of the environmental stress that we have in our planet now, all of the polluted air, polluted water, food that doesn't really nourish our bodies but actually gives us poison to our bodies. All of these things our physiology is trying to compensate for, create a condition of chronic stress. So it's so natural for anyone to be having chronic stress. It's really not unique whatsoever given the way we are living our lives today. But it doesn't have to be this way. So chronic stress can be relieved. First of all, we need to look at the human physiology. So our physiology is something that runs without our interaction. It's an autonomic nervous system. So it goes without us interfering or responding to it consciously. When our body signals a threat, whether it's an environmental threat, a stress of some kind, or a human interaction, or a life event that is experienced with a shock or a trauma, or just stressful, then our nervous system goes into a dysregulated state, meaning that it gets activated into the sympathetic nervous system, moving up the curve of arousal. And what can happen with chronic stress is that people, the more and more we get stressed, the stress level goes up and up this graph arch until it pops over into a freeze state, which is actually part of the parasympathetic nervous system. And if we have chronic stress, often our response may be to just automatically freeze. And this is really important to note because as we automatically freeze, we don't have the capacity to manage our stress. Our body has shut down, our system's overloaded, and all of our capacities to take care of the thing that we need to take care of are offline. And a lot of people live their life this way, especially people with unresolved trauma, developmental trauma, and a chronic stress lifestyle. So in the West, basically I would define most of the Western lifestyle as a chronic stress lifestyle. this 9 to 5 job, always doing, never learning to rest. To solve this issue, we need to consciously learn how to relax. And it doesn't mean that we have to take a whole day off. And it doesn't mean that we have to take a whole vacation. It means that we need to learn how to respond to our nervous system when we feel that we're going into stress. So we're going to have created a pattern where once our physiology feels stress, our mind is going to play along with that stress and reinforce it. So there can be all sorts of mental stories and psychological aspects that come along with the physical activation of stress. And this part is natural, but it's also at some point unnecessary. So as we deconstruct our chronic stress, we need to look at 3 different aspects. So the first aspect that we're going to look at is lifestyle. Are we living a lifestyle that supports us to be able to relax and reduce our stress when we need to? So is a lifestyle, like I said before, are we exposed to environmental pollutants, a ton of traffic, overworking, stressful relationships, human interactions that don't cultivate connection and harmony? So if you're in some kind of toxic dynamic in a relationship or at work, it's toxic dynamics, these are going to be lifestyles that cultivate chronic stress. So putting an emphasis on changing your lifestyle, learning to do things like yoga, meditation, and neuromodulation practices, which we're teaching, as well as nervous system regulation, which is all of these aspects we're teaching: meditation, yoga, neuromodulation, and emotional regulation techniques. So this becomes part of the lifestyle, making sure that you're eating healthy, sleeping regularly, having work that you love, having a relationship that supports you, and doing practices that are able to regulate your nervous system. And secondly, we're going to look at the physiology for stress. So if our system is stuck in a stress response and we do not know how to resolve this stress response, then we are not going to be able to manage ourselves coming out of chronic stress in our daily life. We will be susceptible to it consistently. So this really develops a new neural pathway in the brain and some neuroplastic development of our being. So this means that we have to grow and learn into this capacity. If it hasn't been done before, it may be a process that really needs to be conscious and really made an effort. But if a person does know what it is like to relax, then they will be able to get to that state quicker with more effectivity. This is a developmental process, and this also brings me into our third point, which is that chronic stress is often due to developmental trauma or unresolved trauma. So this means that unresolved or developmental trauma has been stored deep in our system, in our nervous system, and that all of our psychology, our personality, our physiology, everything is operating from this dysregulated nervous system. So this chronic anxiety that we're experiencing is actually a result of not having regulated ourselves in the past when this event occurred. And this is really significant because we can create this whole psychological layer over these events, which are valid, but when we look back into the real source of this, if we really tap the root, which is the dysregulation at the traumatic event and not coming into completion, not being met by a caregiver to give us a sense of safety, not having had the time to truly recover and reintegrate into our bodies and feel safe within our physical body and within the place that we hold within the world. So these events are super significant and super important to our life, especially when dealing with chronic stress. we need to realize that a lot of this happens on the daily level, which is the lifestyle, which we need to take care of, and has happened as a result of something that happened in the past that we've become dysregulated from, and it's become a habit in our nervous system. So there's a way to heal and to go through this, which is what we teach at Finding Self. And if you're interested, please stick with us to learn more, and we'd be really happy to help you in any way we can. Please just subscribe to the video and give us a like. And if you're interested in a one-on-one session, please just send us a direct message on our Facebook. All right, thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.